Hi, I'm Will Clark of the San Francisco Giants, and you're watching Bay Area Sports Wrap.
So I'm going to turn it over to Buster, who will have a few opening comments, and then we'll get started.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. Very excited to announce Justin Verlander as a San Francisco Giant this morning. I mean, Justin's track record speaks for itself. I was lucky enough to get to compete against him for a number of years and have always admired
What?
the way that he takes care of
Look at
business.
Justin. Look at Justin's name.
If you guys can just, all the media on here, if you can just mute yourselves, please.
I'll change it. All right, I'll change it.
So again, very excited to introduce Justin. And, for me, I think when we started having a conversation a couple of weeks ago, it was very evident just how motivated he is. And you don't get to the level of greatness that he's accomplished in his career without having just the utmost fortitude and desire to be the best. And, when I think about pitchers of this generation, to me, Justin's at the top. And for him to come to San Francisco, continue his career and build on already his Hall of Fame resume is very exciting for us, and just look forward to this relationship, continuing to grow and him help lead our staff.
Okay, thanks, Buster. Just a couple things really quick before we begin. First, for the first half of this call, I just asked that the questions be aimed towards the signing of Justin, and then we can let Justin go. And then both Buster and Zack will stay on for a few more minutes to answer any general questions you guys may have about the team. And then secondly, I just ask that you state your name and affiliation when asking Justin a question. And then finally, if you have a question, just please use the raise my hand tool or type question into the chat window. So with that, we'll open it up to questions. First one, let's go to Alex Pavlovich.
Got to unmute myself. Alex Pavlovich from NBC Sports Bay Area. Welcome to San Francisco. I'm curious, this was probably pretty unique for you, talking to someone that you actually faced as a player who now is president of baseball operations. Could you just kind of go through the recruiting process and what it was like being recruited by Buster specifically to come to San Francisco?
Yeah, honestly, it is a little weird, but at the same time, I'm starting to get at that point in my career where I'm starting to deal with a lot of people that I've played against or are younger than me. So I'm getting pretty used to it. I don't know if I ever will be completely used to it, but honestly, talking to somebody like Buster with his experience was pretty refreshing in a game that is so full of a lot of analysts now. So I think that was really something for me that was a nice draw, just to talk with somebody who's been on the field and competed and kind of understands, but also understands the analytics, right? It was very clear that he gets both sides of it. So in having those conversations, made it very comfortable for me speaking with him and hopefully vice versa. It wasn't awkward. There were a lot of thoughts running through my mind, which I haven't brought up to him yet, about some experiences that I've had in my career that weren't so happy for me, but obviously didn't get in the way.
Buster, could you address the flip side of that? I mean, this is someone you faced and now gave a contract to.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, all the years of obviously Justin's been doing this forever, and let's just be clear, when he mentions people his age or younger, I'm definitely younger than he is, so I want to make sure that's noted. It's look, we hadn't really, obviously just playing against each other, but had no formal relationship, but felt like the conversations were just very easy. Again, like an opportunity to add a guy like this who's accomplished so much. I think the main thing for me is I just want to be clear there. I've even seen in the media so far, like, oh, all the value add that he's going to bring and with the younger arms. That's most definitely true. We believe that. But first and foremost, we all see this guy pitching at the top of the rotation and being very, very good. And he made that clear as well. So that's that's our hope. I know that's his hope and expectation as well.
Let's go to Susan Slesser.
Hi, Justin. Susan Slesser from the San Francisco Chronicle. Congratulations. Kind of following up on what Buster just said, coming off a little bit of a down year, how would you describe last year and where are you now physically? What do you sort of project for yourself this season?
Yeah, this was a lot of the conversation that Buster and I had. Last year was difficult. I kind of got off on the wrong foot at the beginning of spring with a capsule issue, and then had a neck issue as you kind of got in the middle of the season. There's positives and negatives to both. Obviously, the negative is what happened last season. It was worst case scenario for me. Could never get in a groove. Pitched about as bad as I felt like I could. Positives were I was able to learn a lot. I think you can't play this game for very long if you don't learn from injuries. I mean, look, injuries happen. They are what they are. You can't play this long without having something happen. So this was a large conversation and a pretty long one between Buster and I, and it's kind of explaining my process and how I learned from really particularly the neck, but also the shoulder. So moving into where I'm at now, I've changed a lot of my off-season program. I have, for the first time in my career, I've not put down a ball. I kept throwing all off-season, and that was to help the shoulder issue that I had, and it was totally avoidable. It was my fault. I've always been somebody who just doesn't. I set down the ball and don't pick it up again for a few months, and then I've always been very lucky that I just pick it up and start throwing. Well, at 41, that caught up with me. So that was an adjustment that I've made that I feel like is paying big dividends already. It's funny. I was having a conversation today with my throwing partner and just talking about how miles ahead of where I was last year at this time. Honestly, this time last year was my first game of like real catch, and I'm already up to 92 and trying to pull the reins a little bit, not overdo it. So that feels great. And then what I've learned from the neck, at this point I can say that I hope it plays out the way I see it. But it was hopefully one of those blessings in disguise that I didn't know was an underlying issue. It had been affecting me, I believe, for a couple of years until an event finally occurred. And sometimes you never want an event to occur, but sometimes you need that to happen to point you in the right direction. And I really believe that's what occurred. It notified me that there was a problem there. And as I've been addressing that, I've noticed a lot of significant beneficial other changes in my body that have led to better mechanics. And I think my throwing is really benefiting from all these adjustments I'm making. So that's where I'm at now. I'm feeling great. Really just kind of trying to stay on the path that I've been on and just continue to build up for spring.
And you've said in the past that you want to pitch until you're 45. Are you still sort of thinking along those lines?
Yeah. I think I'm, realizing how hard that's going to be. But it was one of the first questions Buster asked me. What are you doing? Do you still have the passion? And it's a great question, and I think I gave him a really long answer, longer than he intended on me giving him. But I think you can tell that the passion's still there. It's the fire's still burning. I have a 6-year-old daughter now, which draws me away from the game, but I think it gives me a nice yin and yang. I get to go home to her and kind of separate my life. So I'm not, because I can get pretty one-sided. So it's really helped me, and I think it's going to help me elongate my career. But yeah, so it's still there. I just like I said, I'm really viewing this past year's issues as a potential to send me down the path that I want to go down to finish my career and be able to play till 45 or more. It's not too dissimilar to 2014-15. I ended up having core issues and core surgery. And what I learned through that process really was what allowed me to pitch the way I have up until last year, So that's how I'm viewing this.
Okay, let's go to Justice De Los Santos.
Hey, Justin, Justice De Los Santos, San Jose, Mercury News. Welcome to San Francisco. You're joining a rotation that features, a fair share of younger arms, guys like Hayden Birdsong, Kyle Harrison, even Jordan Hicks has only had one full year as a starter. Who are the guys that helped you along when you were, making your leagues? I know Kenny Rogers was kind of similar as far as age gap with you guys and the guys you're joining. And what do you think you can impart to some of the guys in this rotation?
Yeah, I'm really interested. I've heard a lot about those guys. Kyle and Hayden particularly. Obviously excited to see Logan work and, Jordan, and I know Robbie already. So there's a lot of symbiosis already amongst the group. Again, I think when I look back at like my experience with Kenny Rogers, left-handed pitcher, sinker baller, here I was young, right-handed, four-seam fastball guy. I didn't really think that I would pick up much from him, but when I look back at it, I think you just kind of pick up stuff from being around guys that have learned to be in the game that long. Whether he's taking an approach to be a mentor or not, you just if you're paying attention, you just see things. And I've done a lot better in my career. I've always said early in my career, I was kind of like a horse with blinders on. I was just going to do what I need to do to be successful and kind of go about my business. And as I've gotten older, more mature, especially as a father, learning to communicate better, I've really felt like I've been able to take those blinders off and be more of a help to the younger guys around me. And I think it's something that I'm continually working on. I get a lot of reward from that now. So it's really cool coming into camp and having some guys who are young, high ceiling, that, hopefully I really just want to lay eyes on. I don't know yet. I've heard a lot about them, haven't really dug in on besides the brief conversation I had about their stuff. But, really it's in today's game with analytics, like guys stuff and, they pretty much know, unless their head's in the sand, like what they do well. It's more about like the routine and pitching and how you be successful long-term at the big league level. And, just being a professional. And it's amazing how far that can actually take you and carry you as a player. Just when you can get comfortable with your routine and, the outside noise, whether you're going good, going bad, you can kind of always rely on that. So that's one of the things that I've always kind of preached.
Go to Sam Lubman.
Hey, Justin, welcome to San Francisco. My name's Sam Lubman with 95.7 The Game. You've accomplished so much in your career with MVPs, Cy Youngs, World Series titles. I'm curious, when you come into this season, what are some of the goals that you have that you're really hoping to accomplish this year? Obviously aside from the big ones, but like for you personally, for you to see with this team, what are you kind of hoping to accomplish this season?
I've never really been somebody who set out specific goals. There's one kind of left that, as everybody likes to talk about, that is kind of a no-brainer that I would like to achieve. And that hopefully that just comes with time. For me, I think personally, proving that I still have it, I think I wouldn't be coming back and playing if I've accomplished enough in my career. I wouldn't be back if I didn't think I could be great. I really truly believe that the experiences I had last year and leading into this year, I can be back to the pitcher I was not all that long ago when I won a Cy Young. So, I put in the work. I put in the work for the last, since I was 5 years old, I've been playing baseball, So all that work, my whole life, I still feel like I have something to give. And if I still feel like that, then I want to play, so simple as that. As a team, I think it's a team that, quite frankly, before Buster called me, wasn't really in my consideration. And then in doing some research after Buster called, obviously immediately you're like, man, really tough division. going to be tough, and that's obviously true. But I think that this team has a lot of upside that is maybe a bit overlooked. With Kim coming back and Adamis's addition, Fitzgerald had a great second half at second base last year. These young starters, obviously, you got the guys at the top that have been doing what they've been doing. Sign Matt Chapman long term. I just think that there's a really good chance that this team can do something special. And from everything that I've heard, the guys, the culture that's been built in this organization is something special. And in my experience with a couple of franchises who have been really successful, that's one of the things that's one of the most important ingredients. And you can fill the room with all the talent in the world, but if it doesn't gel, it's not going to work for whatever reason. It might get you to the playoffs, but it's not going to win you in the playoffs. And, and like I said, from everything I've heard, this has that factor to it. And that's really important for me at this point in my career. You want to be part of a team that you can have fun with. And when you win, it really helps gel that. And it's just a magical ride, man. And I want to be part of that.
Okay, let's go to Scott Osler.
Yeah, Scott Osler, San Francisco Chronicle. Hey, Justin, you mentioned just a second ago, 2 questions. You mentioned that the Giants weren't really on your radar until Buster called. Why were they not? And the second question is, why do you think you can cheat Father Time, Mother Nature, whatever, to pitch into your mid-40s?
I mean, the honest answer is they just weren't. I didn't expect them to call. I guess there were a handful of other teams that had conversations with my agent, and we had kind of been going back and forth since the end of the season on who was interested, who wasn't. And San Francisco had never really come up. And then so the second Buster called and expressed interest, it was like, oh, wow, this is like I hadn't even really considered that. So that's really that. And look, I don't think I can defeat Father Time. Nobody can. But I think the groundwork that I've put in and the work ethic that I've had since I've been in this game, has afforded me, hopefully on the back end, some extra time. I mean, it's the first thing everybody wants to point to when things aren't going well is, okay, Father Time finally caught up. I'm trying to stave it off. I don't know. I'm a bit stubborn, have to be. But I still think I can pitch at extremely high ability. And even last year when I came back before the neck, it was, I was pitching to a 3.2 ERA and I felt like I was not pitching very well, so, it's definitely still there, I think. And also in talking to a lot of the veterans who have retired, they just there's no definitive answer about when you should or can retire, but the answer is pretty similar, which is when you'll know, which isn't really helpful to somebody who doesn't know yet, but it's not there. I'm not there yet. And, so as long as that doesn't happen and I still have the passion to play and put in the work that's required behind the scenes, then I'll keep trying.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Chris Alvarez.
Hi, Justin. Chris Alvarez from ABC7 here in San Francisco. Welcome back to the Bay. You're talking a lot about the process of Buster kind of recruiting you. Are you going to be influential in recruiting new guys to this team, or have you done that in the past with your other stops?
Yeah, a little bit. I told them when I was just there this weekend, if there's anybody that pops on your radar that you want me to give a call, let me know. I absolutely happy to help. I think also there's some insight that I can give. I've played with a lot of guys now, so there's also that insight that you get from the inside of the locker room that I can help with. So yeah, absolutely, I'm willing to help.
Okay, let's go to Matt Kawahara.
Hey, Justin, Matt Kawahara with the Houston Chronicle. You mentioned other teams that maybe had some interest. Did you have any discussions with the Astros about a potential reunion? And now that this is official, how would you just kind of sum up your second stint with that team?
I mean, look, I don't want to get into the ins and outs of who was involved and who wasn't, but I'll answer the second part. I've had a phenomenal ride with Houston. It's been a hell of a chapter of my career. The second chapter coming back from New York wasn't what I would have hoped. And when I got traded back, I did, I felt like I pitched pretty well, helped them get to the playoffs. Really last year left a sour taste in my mouth, not with the organization, just with myself. I hold myself to a standard that I want to pitch. It's why in my contract I had 140 innings, somewhere around there, if to trigger my player option. If I didn't, and I could have fought for more, or not had that innings option when I was negotiating with the Mets. But I want to earn my keep, and I felt like if I didn't at least throw that many innings, I sure as hell didn't earn what I was making. So I didn't deserve to have the option for that anyway. So I wish I had pitched better last year. I wish the injuries hadn't happened. But look, man, I'm not somebody that lives in the past. I've had just like I said, a phenomenal run in Houston, and if that's done, it's done. Never know what's going to happen. Obviously, I never would have forecasted going back as quickly as I did. So you never want to close a chapter on anything in this game. But this new chapter, I couldn't be more excited about, man. I can't tell you how refreshing, not refreshing. That's the wrong word. Exciting it is for me when you can tell the energy of not only the organization, but a lot of the players that reached out and how excited they are to have me here. Not that it wasn't exciting to be in Houston, but I've been there for 7 or 8 years now. So everybody knows me. You kind of lose that a little bit. So just having the guys reach out, and everybody I spoke to, just especially once the deal was done, telling me how excited they are, means a lot.
Okay, let's go to Ryan Leon.
Hi, good morning, Justin. Congratulations. Wanted to ask you what your thoughts are on coming to a Giants team that, aside from 2021, has really struggled. They've really not kind of been in the media spotlight, and now you're kind of competing against teams like the San Francisco 49ers and the Golden State Warriors. How do you feel about trying to bring prominence back to the city of San Francisco and for the Giants franchise?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's obviously not on me, but it's a group effort. I think that the organization is doing the right things and trying to win. They see that they have young talent on the horizon. They're trying to bring in the right pieces to accent that. You can see that with the moves they've made this offseason. I think if I was a Giants fan, I have a lot to be excited about. You're competing against. I don't view it the same way as competing against the other franchises in the city. I think when things are going well with all franchises in a city, it's a pretty magical experience. You got everybody winning. It's contagious. So hopefully we can join the parade and be part of those great franchises that are doing well. And I've experienced, obviously, San Francisco when things are going well. When I was there in the World Series, and just those years coming to play in the stadium, it's pretty electric, and the fan base is phenomenal. It's such a storied franchise. It'll happen naturally if we just go out and do what we're capable of.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll take a couple more for Justin. Let's go to Marco.
Hey, Justin, welcome to the Giants. Marco Ikolovich, Bay Area Sports Wrap. You come in as a low-risk, high-reward type of acquisition. So depending on how this year goes for you, would you like to see yourself maybe signing again with this team after 2025 and maybe finishing your career here with the Giants?
Yeah, that's a good question. I try not to get ahead of myself, just let things come as they go. Buster texted me, after everything went down and said, wouldn't it be something if you won 300 games in a San Francisco uniform? And God, wouldn't that be something? It's, you just, I could have never forecasted that I would have been in Houston for 7 or 8 years. It's just a funny game, man. You just don't know how you end up kind of like in a certain situation, and then it's nervous. It's you get angst because it's a brand new situation, people you don't know, and then all of a sudden it ends up being the best thing that ever happened to you. So I'm really looking forward to this year. Whatever the future holds, the future holds. I mean, I'm kind of that point in my career where if Buster wanted to sign me for a 4 or 5 year deal, I would have done it, but he didn't offer that.
Okay, let's 2 more. Susan?
This is probably a less pressing topic, but there's some interest in the Bay Area because you've worn 35 for much of your career. Obviously, that was Brandon Crawford's number here for a long time. Have you thought about your number? Have you talked to the Giants about what you might wear?
Yes, it has come up. I'm putting a lot. I'm still putting a lot of thought into this. Obviously, Brandon has had a legendary career there. I know that Buster reached out to him personally, and he gave his blessing. But I haven't spoken to him yet personally. I also, I don't know. How do the fans feel about it? Does anybody have a feel on that? I don't know. I don't want to come in on a bad foot, but I would love the opportunity to wear my number for the San Francisco Giants. I mean, like I said, I understand the magnitude of the franchise, like one of the most storied franchises in Major League Baseball. So to get to wear like your number for that franchise is pretty cool. But at the same time, if there's another player who's come along and done something special, this is an interesting question, and I really don't have the answer yet. I think I'm hopeful that when I speak with Brandon, I'll get a little more clarity. I know, it's different hearing it from Buster and saying, "Hey, I spoke to Brandon, and he gave his okay." But I don't know. I just want to talk to him person to person and really try to get a feel for it, and I can pivot one way or the other.
Great, thank you.
And Chris.
And Justin, based on some of your answers and your Zoom name, you have a sense of humor. I'm curious what kind of clubhouse guy you are and how you kind of deal with guys. Are you the fun guy? It seems like you're going to be the fun guy in the clubhouse.
I don't think I've ever been called the fun guy in the clubhouse, Chris, but I try my best. Look, man, I really have a strong belief that when you show up to the field, man, we're there to do one thing, that's to win. You do need some humor. You need to have fun. We're there at the field during the season more than we are with our family. So you need to have that like family atmosphere. You also, I think, need to hold people accountable. So you can't just be a jokester, man. You gotta, there's an expectation that comes with winning, and that expectation needs to permeate from everybody, myself, our manager, to the last player on the bench, to the coaching staff, to the training staff. It takes everybody to make a winning cocktail. And, I guess I think I'm somebody that can be jovial, but if something needs to be said or done, I've also kind of been that guy that can do or say that. I've had a lot of players that have had issues come up to me and kind of ask me to handle some stuff. So, I'm comfortable doing both.
Okay, Justin, thank you so much for hopping on here. Congratulations, and welcome to the Bay Area.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. Look forward to meeting you all in person soon. Appreciate your time.
Okay, guys. Buster and Zach will stay on for a few more minutes for those of you that have any general type questions about the team. So with that, we can open it up to questions for Buster and Zach. Let's go to Justice.
Hey, Buster. Hey, Zach. This might be more of a Melvin question, but, we've talked a lot about what the rotation could be like, and that was before the signing of Verlander. How do you, anticipate this rotation maybe shaking out, especially during a time when, 6-man rotations are becoming more in vogue to manage workloads?
I think, excuse me, I think the best way to answer this, and teams I've been on as a player, I always found it created a great atmosphere in spring training when there was competition for any spot on the field. And I think adding a guy like Verlander, high expectations for Ray coming back, obviously Webb, is going to do his thing. And with Harrison, Birdsong, Hicks in the mix, you've got Landon Roop as well. There's going to be competition. I think that's the easiest way to put it. There's going to be competition for these final couple of spots, and we feel good about the depth that we have in starting pitching right now, and some of the flexibility that's potentially going to give us. Zach, anything to add to that?
No, just I think everyone on this call has seen it takes a lot more than 5 starters to get through the season. and just looking at this thing as a marathon. And we're excited about the group of young arms we have, and the group of veteran arms as well, obviously, by today's calls. So it's probably going to take all when we get to where we want to go.
Scott?
Hey, Buster, Justin said that the subject of a multi-year contract never came up. And some of this is obvious, but did you or the club ever think about possibly offering him or discussing a multi-year?
Hey, Scott. No, it never came up. I think where we are, again, we feel like we've got depth in young arms. Obviously, Justin talked about his frustration in his year last year, so we felt like a one-year deal was the right spot to land.
Go to Alex.
Hey, Buster, we heard from Justin a little bit about what makes him confident coming back. But when you watched footage of him last year, what made you most confident that he could get back to, as he said, he wants to get back to being great. What did you see?
Hey, Alex. Yeah, I think a couple of things. I mean, number one, it's hard not to lean on the track record and kind of look at the course of his career. And as he's mentioned, his ability to come back from injury. And I'd say also being on the phone with him and hearing his excitement, and just I really felt he was being very honest with how good he felt his body was at this point in the year. And I mean, he mentioned it on the call as well. And then, having our medical staff, take a look at some files and whatnot, they felt like he was in a good place, and conversations that Justin had with JP Martinez, I think just kind of taking the big picture into consideration. I mean, adding a guy like Justin Verlander is obviously a huge lift for us, and we've mentioned a lot of the reasons prior, but I'm just really excited for our young guys to watch the way this guy works. I mean, as much as anything, I think as much as he's willing to be a mentor, I know when you're a guy that's driven like Justin is, your number one priority is coming in and taking care of your business each and every day. And if you have time to wrap your arm around another guy, you do that. But if he comes in and just takes care of his business, for them to be able to watch him and see the way that a 20-year vet goes about it day in and day out, that in itself is going to be more than enough for them to grow in their own career.
Go to Ryan.
Hi, Buster. Ryan Leong, NBC News Radio. I just want to ask you your thoughts on if there's a comparison that you draw when Randy Johnson came to the Giants, and that was actually the first time you came up to the big club. Do you see Justin kind of being in that role where he could be a mentor to Patrick Bailey? I know you mentioned that he could already be a mentor in that regard.
Hey, Ryan. Yeah, absolutely. I think Randy was, if my memory serves me correctly, he was even further along than Justin at this point. But something Zack and I have talked about a lot, just the importance of walking into a clubhouse and seeing some of these guys, that for some of these players probably, I was thinking about when Justin started his career, how old, Birdsong and Harrison were. They probably don't remember when he started his career, but it means something to walk into a clubhouse and you've got a guy that's truly a big league vet, and that it makes you want to be better, just their presence. And that may seem a little bit flippant, but it's true. It really does. You walk in each morning, you look over and there's Justin Verlander or Randy Johnson standing at their locker, and you tell yourself, man, I better bring it today. You don't want to let these guys down. You want to prove that you belong in the big leagues and have a chance to play alongside of them. And as far as Bailey goes, one thing that stood out in my conversation with Justin a couple of weeks ago was his relationship that he had with McCann and Maldonado in Houston. And he seemed like he was very involved with them and in game planning for his own personal game. But I'm guessing, and I'm hopeful that relationship with Bailey is going to help him grow as far as his prep, his game planning, and he can pick up some nuggets along the way that's going to help him as he continues to prepare and get these other guys prepared to take the ball every fifth day.
Let's go to Maria Gordado.
Hi, Buster and Zach. I think you guys were among the teams that reportedly met with Sasaki. Do you guys still see yourselves as being part of the mix? And if so, could you see that impacting some international signings that you might have in the works?
Zach, you want to take that one?
Yeah, hey Maria. Yeah, we met with Roki in person, and as of now, we were recently told that we would not be his destination.
Let's go to Chris Alvarez.
Hi guys, this is Chris Alvarez from ABC7 for both of you. We heard Justin talk about that you guys weren't on his radar until you made the call. So I'm curious for both of you as you go through this process, did you learn anything in the recruiting process? And is there a little bit of validation, obviously landing a guy like Verlander, who's a future Hall of Famer and still has a lot of gas in the tank?
Yeah, I'd say for me, the first thing that pops to my mind, Chris, is what Justin mentioned on the call, is the importance of the balance of for us and what we're trying to do. And I think it's thrown out there a lot in the industry, but just the balance of baseball and then analytics. And that's something that was really important to him. And I think he really hit it off with JP Martinez as well. They had great conversation, and JP, I think we're all excited about him because of that balance that he's going to bring. And he's able to speak the lingo, but he also understands the importance of being able to read a player and motivate a player, and have the player's ears. So we're excited about JP and just all the value that he's going to bring to the staff.
Go to Sam Lubman.
Hey, Buster. Hey, Zach. Obviously, you got Adames on board. And obviously, you got Justin Verlander, too. Came up short for Corbin Burns. I'm just curious, when you're looking at how this offseason's gone so far, just how would you evaluate it, how it's gone so far? What's something you're happy about or what's something you're disappointed about? And I believe there's about a month left before pitchers and catchers report. Do you have any goals or anything that you're hoping to kind of accomplish between then and in that reporting date?
Yeah, I can speak. Yeah. No, obviously really excited on both players. And I think, going through, it's interesting watching both players go through their media sessions. I think we see both of these players, Adames and Verlander, they're much more than just baseball players. They bring a lot to our clubhouse. And like Buster said, just walking in that clubhouse and just trying to have this standard of who we are and what we want to be, professionals, and having that carry out in the field. So really excited about what's happened so far. I never want to lose sight of what's already here. And some of the reports we're getting on, players internally, and Jung-Hoo Lee going to spring training fully healthy, things of that nature that we're really excited about. And then as far as going forward, the rest of the offseason, just continuing to look at every angle, everything we can do, talking to clubs, surveying major league free agency, minor league free agency. So, nothing really stops. We just keep going and see if there's any other opportunities out there.
And Marco.
Hey, Buster and Zach, this is for both of you guys. I know regarding the starting rotation, you have Jordan Hicks, I still penciled in there, but was there any talks of maybe returning him to the bullpen and possibly making him the closer? And if not, why not? Thank you.
Yeah, no, good question. I mean, I think we all see Jordan as he took a big step forward last year. I think he probably accomplished what he was set out to, stretching out the amount that he did. And have had some good talks with him this winter as well. And he's look, Jordan's open to being on a winning ball club and wanting to win, but his passion is to start. And we see a lot of upside with him as a starter and really have no limitations. The conversations with him have been, the guardrails are off. So we want you to go and take the ball. We want you to pitch as deep into games as you possibly can. And I mean, it factors into the competition piece that I was talking about. I mean, when I spoke with Jordan probably a month to 6 weeks ago, I told him, I said, there's a chance we do bring on another starter, and he welcomed that. He said that, I want that. I want the competition. And that's just kind of where the conversation led with him. Zack, anything to add on Jordan?
No, just one thing that's been fun going to Oracle Park every day this offseason is every morning I walk in there and Jordan Hicks is working. So I think he's just trying to get himself in the best shape possible to continue to throw more innings. So I think all of us saw it early on in the season, how good he can be in that role. So, him extending that deeper in the season, I think would be the best thing for the club.
Okay, looks like there's one more. Manolo.
Hello, this is Manolo Hernandez, Dwayne from Baseball por Gotas. Buster, you had a few players in a winter ball. One of them excelled a lot, Luis Matos, Rookie of the Year in Venezuela. You also have the Encarnacion in the Dominican. How do you see these guys fit in with the team this year?
It's not Joe Biden, but
yeah, Manolo, we're excited about both these guys. Obviously, Matos had a big year in winter ball, and I think conversations that myself and Zack and the rest of the group here keep having and reminding ourselves about a guy like Matos and even Encarnacion to a certain extent. These guys are still young. Matos was in the big leagues very young. And sometimes, something like this, like a big winter ball can really set a guy on a quicker trajectory, a higher trajectory than normal. And so we're excited for him to come in, continue the confidence that he gained from winter ball this year and, compete for a spot on the roster.
Okay, that looks like all the questions in the queue. So Buster and Zack, thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
everyone. You're watching me, but you need to be watching Bay Area Sports Wrap. Bay Area Sports Wrap on YouTube. Like and subscribe, and there's a good chance you might get to heaven.